Right now, I'm standing outside what is being called the largest buffet in all of Scotland, and honestly, just hearing that already sets the expectation sky high because when you hear a largest, you start thinking about endless food, massive variety, and that feeling of not even knowing where to begin, and that's exactly the vibe here in Glasgow, where this place is said to seat around 350 people, which is absolutely insane when you really think about it, because that's not just a restaurant. That's practically a food arena, and before even stepping inside, you can already feel that this is going to be one of those experiences where strategy matters just as much as appetite, and I'm not even exaggerating when I say that buffet like this can either be a dream come true or a complete disaster depending on how you approach them, but today, we're going all in, we're doing it properly, and we're going to explore everything this place has to offer like a true food explorer, and as I'm looking at the sign outside talking about a gastronomic adventure with international cuisines prepared using fresh ingredients, I'm thinking, alright, that's a bold claim, because a lot of buffets say that, but very few actually deliver on it, so the real question is, does this one live up to the hype? And there's only one way to find out, so let's get inside and see what's going on. Now the first thing I notice as I walk in is just how massive this place actually is, and I mean genuinely massive, not just slightly bigger than your average buffet, but on another level entirely, with sections stretching out in every direction, and instantly, you realize this isn't the kind of place where you can just grab a plate and start piling food randomly, because if you do that, you're going to miss out on half of what's here, and timing is everything in a buffet like this, and we've come in just after opening time, literally minutes after, which is the perfect moment because everything should be fresh, hot, and just coming out, and that gives you a huge advantage, and I'm already seeing the pricing board, and honestly, for what's being offered, it doesn't seem bad at all, especially considering you get a full hour and a half to eat, and that's more than enough time if you know what you're doing, but at the same time, if you don't pace yourself, that hour and a half can disappear very quickly, and you'll end up full before you've even scratched the surface. So as I start walking through, the first section that grabs my attention is the Chinese area, and straight away, it's packed with options. We're talking about honey chicken wings, salt and pepper wings, prawn tempura, spring rolls, crab claws, chicken satay, and that's just the starters, and already, I can tell this is going to be one of those buffets where the variety is almost overwhelming, because every few steps, there's something new catching your eye. And you're constantly thinking, I want to try that, and that, and that, and before you know it, your plate is full. But we're not making that mistake today. We're taking it slow, we're being strategic, and we're sampling properly. Then moving further down, you hit the Indian and Pakistani section, and this is where things get really interesting, because this is usually the part where buffets either shine or completely fall apart, and I'm seeing dishes like biryani, chicken tikka masala, lamb bhuna, different curries, rice variations, and already, the aroma alone is telling me this could be something special, because if there's one thing that ruins a buffet experience, it's bland curry, and if they've managed to get this right, then we're in for a treat. And just when you think you've seen enough, you turn another corner and suddenly you're in the Italian section, with pizzas, pasta, lasagna, mac and cheese, and all sorts of comfort food classics, and it just keeps going. Because then there's grilled meats, kebabs, doner, chicken wings, and even sushi and seafood options. And at this point, you realize that this isn't just a buffet, it's basically a tour around the world through food, all under one roof. And it's almost impossible to take it all in at once. So now it's time to actually start eating, and I'm beginning with some Chinese starters, keeping it simple but varied, just to get a feel for the quality. And the first thing I try is the prawn tempura, and straight away, I notice that the batter is light, which is exactly what you want, because heavy batter can ruin the whole experience. And while the prawn itself isn't massive, the flavor is there, and it's a solid start. And then moving on to the spring roll, I was expecting it to be average at best, but surprisingly, the filling actually has flavor, which you don't always get in buffet, and that's a good sign. Then comes the chicken satay, and this is where things start stepping up a bit, because the chicken is tender, the peanut sauce has a nice richness to it, and there's even a slight kick of spice, which adds a bit of depth, and you can tell that some thought has gone into the seasoning here. And then the chicken wings, and I've got to say, they really know what they're doing with wings here, because the salt and pepper version has that perfect balance of seasoning, while the honey wings bring that sweetness with a nice glaze, and honestly, that's a very strong start to the meal. From there, we move into the mains, and this is where things really start to get serious, with king prawns, noodles, rice, and various chicken dishes. And one thing that immediately stands out is the quality of the prawns, because they're not holding back here. They're juicy, tender, and cooked properly, and when combined with ginger, it creates a really nice flavor profile that just works. And the noodles and rice are solid as well, with good seasoning and texture. And while you don't want to fill up on carbs in a buffet, they're definitely enjoyable. Now the real test comes with the Indian dishes, and starting with the lamb bhuna, I can already tell from the smell that this might be something special, and when I try it, it actually delivers, because the sauce has proper depth, the spice level is noticeable but not overwhelming, and the lamb itself is tender, and this is where the buffet really starts to impress, because getting a good bhuna in a buffet is not easy, and they've done it here. The biryani is another highlight, with well-cooked rice and good flavor, and honestly, if someone handed me that as a takeaway, I wouldn't complain at all. And then the chicken tikka masala, which you'd expect to be mild, actually has a bit of spice to it, which is a nice surprise. And overall, the Indian section is far better than what you usually find in buffet, and that's a big plus. Of course, not everything is perfect, and there are a few dishes that don't quite hit the mark, like some of the lamb cuts being a bit dry, and that's something you often get in buffet where food sits out for a while. But even then, the flavor is still there, and it's not a complete letdown, just something that could be improved. By the time we reach the dessert section, it's clear that this place has gone all out, because there's everything from cakes and pastries to chocolate fountains, ice cream, jelly, fruit, and more. And it's one of those setups where you almost don't know what to pick, and even though I am already full, you can't skip dessert in a place like this, so we go in, try a bit of everything, and it's exactly what you'd expect: sweet, indulgent, and a perfect way to finish. And as the experience comes to an end, there are a few things that really stand out, one being the cleanliness of the place, which is extremely important in a buffet, and another being the staff, who are attentive and quick to clear plates, making the whole experience feel smooth and well managed. And when you put it all together, the variety, the quality, the atmosphere, it actually lives up to its reputation more than expected. So in the end, is it the best buffet ever? Maybe not, but is it one of the best for the price and the variety it offers? Absolutely. And with so many options and flavors to explore, it's definitely a place worth visiting if you ever get the chance. Because experiences like this aren't just about eating, they're about discovering, trying new things, and enjoying the journey. And right now, after all that food, there's only one thing left to do, and that is to find somewhere to sit back, relax, and recover from what can only be described as a full-on food adventure.